Today we are taking a look at my June 2021 built Tesla Model Y that I've had for almost 4 months, and I'm just about to hit 6,000 miles on it. So I want to go over my experience with the car so far, how it's been, and uniquely I want to compare it to my Tesla Model 3 that I traded to get this car. My Tesla Model 3 had over 50,000 miles on it when I traded it in, so I have a lot of experience now with Teslas in general, so I want to compare my Model Y here to the Model 3. So we're going to start off on the outside of the car, tell you some things I like about that. We'll do some aspects about the inside of the car, the driving experience, autopilot now with no radar. This Model Y does not have a radar, whereas my Model 3 did have a radar for autopilot. And I'm going to tell you about the good and the bad. Not everything has been perfect with this Model Y, so we'll go over all of that in this video. And if you're looking to, grab one of these sweet shirts, check the pinned comment down below. All right, so starting off here, nice and dirty, like it should be. This car is used, I use it, I drive a lot, as you can tell by the mileage I have already on it in just a few months. And the exterior of the car, I'm really loving. If you've seen pictures around, it does a pretty good job of showing you what the car is about, but specifically a few things about the Model Y that I really enjoy more than my Model 3 that I had back in 2018 is the black trim. So you have the trim now, it's all chrome deleted, stock when you get the car. One of the big things that I really like is, it's hard to tell because it's so dirty, but right here, this is plastic trim. And that helps a lot, especially for me, because it's all there on the wheel wells. It's down here on the bottom. That's all plastic trim that you're looking at right there. And it's great because Teslas are known for having, a little flecks of paint that can get taken off by some dirt and things being kicked up on the wheels, even if you don't drive on dirt roads. And this way, that helps prevent a lot of that, because on my Model 3, I did have in this lower area here a lot of paint that was coming off. You can see right here on this back door, there is a piece of PPF, paint protection film, that does come stock with the car. Now, when my car was delivered, this was not on here, and I had to go to Tesla service and have it installed, but they did do it for free, and I did it right away because I knew it would be abused by me. And this area of the car right here, especially right here, that kind of flares out a little bit. If we go here, you can see better, really takes some abuse, and again can have some paint that gets taken off of there. When the car is not so dirty as it is now, it's not nearly as obvious to see, but you do know it's there. Some people will do a full PPF on the car, but that will come stock from Tesla. Now, some winter weather improvements that this Model Y has that my Model 3 did not. Instead of just being able to push here to open the door, you can actually push right here and pop the door out just a tiny bit. See how that's coming out? And you can use that to break away any ice if that's frozen. So that was done intentionally by Tesla, so you can push here and kind of break free any ice. I have not had that problem. I live in Michigan. We have cold, icy winters. In my Model 3, I never had that issue over 2.5 winters, but it's there in case it happens. Also, the charge port over here is heated to prevent your charger from freezing into the car. Again, it was never a problem for me. I normally park in the garage though. That's pretty much always where I charge. So maybe if I parked outside, it would have been a problem. But now with the Model Y, and I would assume newer Model 3s, although I don't know for sure, this area is warmed and heated so that your charger will not get frozen and stuck in there. Now, of course, one of the biggest differences right here, the hatch is just amazing. So you can open this up with a click of a button. It's powered, just like the new Model 3s now have a powered trunk, but man, this wide opening is just so useful and so great. Even if you don't use it that often, just having this huge opening here so that you can easily put stuff in and out of here is just so nice. Now, the Model 3, I thought had some pretty good room in the trunk, and we used it on a road trip to North Carolina, just my wife and I, and we had plenty of room to put all of our luggage and things in, mostly just the trunk. We didn't even use the frunk all that much, but this is just so much nicer and easier to get things out. The space back here, from my understanding, is not actually all that much more than the trunk in the Model 3, but it's this huge opening that you have that makes it easier to move stuff in and out. And then of course the button here, you can press to auto close the trunk, but one tip, just so you know, if your garage maybe isn't tall enough and you need this to open a little bit lower, you can just move this wherever you want it. So let's say I only want it to open up that high. I can hold this button and listen. So that ding you just heard is now the place that the trunk will open to. So if I close this with the button, it automatically closes. And now if I open it again, you'll see that it will only open to that level that I preset. Another positive difference I've noticed is closing the doors seems easier I remember in the Model 3, and a lot of people commented on this when they tried out my car, the doors for some reason just didn't seem to close that well. The doors on the Model Y close a lot easier. They seem a lot more hefty. And another thing that I talked about a bit, and I don't know if this was everybody's Model 3s, but when I closed the door on my Model 3 with the window down, you would just hear this rattling. And on the Model Y, it's just solid. I mean, it just sounds like a big chunk, which is really nice. Whereas, like I said, on the Model 3, it would like close and like, and kind of like vibrate. It was very strange. So yeah, I didn't like that. And it's definitely improved on the Model Y. Now, when talking about the exterior of the vehicle, we cannot forget about the frunk, which we should check out so we can say thank you to my newest Enhanced Autopilot patron, Kelly S. Thank you so much, Kelly. Welcome to the frunk. And finally on the exterior, a bummer. You do not get the rainbow roof anymore that you used to get with the older Model 3s. My Model 3 was built in October of 2018, so I had one piece of glass up top there that still had the cool rainbow color. The Model Y, unfortunately, does not have that, and as far as I know, no Model Ys will come with that, although I have seen occasionally somebody will get lucky with a Model 3 and one of those pieces of glass will have the rainbow effect on it. Okay, now jumping into the inside of the car, biggest differences you notice when you first get in is sitting higher is pretty nice, although I don't feel it's that different from the Model 3's seating position. It is really comfortable, and the biggest thing is really getting in and out. When I get into the Model Y, it's pretty easy to get into, but when you get out, you just kind of step out and, oh, I'm out of the car. You don't do this whole thing like in the Model 3, you have to, you know, stand up and get all up, which is not a big deal for a lot of people, but if you have trouble getting in and out of the car, the Model Y is way easier to get in and out of. Especially for me, I had my seat in the Model Y and the Model 3 as low as it could possibly go. So getting out of the Model 3, I just was standing all the way up from kind of being on the floor. Now with the Model Y, when I get out, I'm standing. I don't have to do, you know, anything special to get up and out of it. So you can see here I have the white interior and I really like it. My Model 3 had the black interior. I do find that these seats are slightly more comfortable. They just seem, I don't really know how to describe it, a little more cushiony. And of course that could be because my Model 3 had 50,000 miles on it. I did a lot of driving, the seats were used, but most of those miles I was by myself. And just from doing YouTube videos and things, I would spend a lot of time in the Model 3 passenger seat, just when kind of, you know, modifying stuff in the car. And I noticed right away that seat was not nearly as worn as my driver's seat, but still, these white seats do feel slightly more plush, a little more comfortable. And like I said, I do like the white. It looks great. It makes the car feel really open. And when you're showing it to people, they go, whoa, that looks really cool. But I still don't believe it's worth $1,000. That's just really my opinion. $1,000 is a lot of money. And to make your seats a different color, I don't know, I think it's a little ridiculous. It gives you really no benefit. Besides, if you live in the South, it does keep the car way cooler in the summer. I did notice that. Not just the seats themselves are way cooler, but the entire inside of the car when you get into it in the summer is much cooler. So that could be a practical benefit of the white seats. But overall, I don't think that I would pay $1,000 again for the white seats. Maybe, maybe not, it really depends. Now, I did order this car as an inventory car. It was built June 12th and I picked it up on June 24th. So just a couple of weeks after it was built, I was picking it up. So it was an inventory car, it was already made. I did not order it to spec, and just for what was available, it was the best fit for me for what I wanted to do. And so I did go with the white seats. I did really want to try them, but yeah, experiencing them, I don't know. 1K seems like a lot of money to me. The back seat is a lot roomier, if that's a concern of yours. I'm 5'9", so not all that tall, but I have a ton of space back here. I had a buddy who's a bit taller than me that could not fit in the back of my Model 3. I mean, he sat back there, you know, kind of like this, and I had him sit in the back of the Model Y, and he did fit. His head was close, but he did have a little bit of room back here, so if needed, he could fit back here. And that goes the same for the front seats. There's a lot more headroom in the front. The Model 3 already had a lot of headroom, but in the Model Y, there is even more. There's also the huge glass roof, which everybody loves. It is really cool. Although I will say, for the driver and the front passenger, there really is not much benefit. When you're sitting in the back here, I can show you the view. It looks very cool. So if you're looking up, you can see, you know, the sky up through here. And it looks really great. But for the, yeah, when you're driving the car, it really doesn't give you any benefit because you can't see it really. The steering wheel is also new and different from the Model 3. Tesla now does vegan leather on the steering wheels, whereas with the Model 3, the steering wheel was real leather. And I heard some complaints that people didn't like it as much. It's definitely different, but there's nothing negative about it in my opinion. I think it feels fine and great, and I got used to it like within a day or something. The scroll wheels are really nice. They are way improved, and it sounds a little ridiculous to kind of be excited and talking about scroll wheels, but yeah, they're way better. They're metal now instead of plastic, and I didn't even realize initially what the difference was, but I just could tell the second I used them, whoa, these are way better than what I had on the Model 3. They just feel a lot sturdier, a lot clickier, and just a lot nicer overall. Another huge interior improvement that I'm really loving is the refreshed center console. You can see here, you know, 2 cup holders, pretty similar, but this area now, instead of flipping, it slides back and you just push there and there it is, and it stops there. And then you have this storage down here. This is a sweet thing from Jetta I'll be talking about soon. And I have this, you know, this is not stock, but there's a lot of storage down here, just like there was before, a ton of room for everything you need. And when you're done, you can simply press that and it will nicely slide back. Really enjoying that. The phone holder now has built-in wireless phone charging. So if you take your phone and set it on here, whoops, I'm dropping things, it will wirelessly charge right there. It's really nice. It's nice and soft, and it's really good for when you're driving and there's bumps and stuff. Because of this fabric that's on here, your phone won't really make any noise if it moves around at all. So really enjoyed the refreshed center console. I never needed a door here. That was really weird and strange. There are now in here USB-C ports. There's 2 USB-C ports right here, and then in the back there's 2 USB-C ports. Oh, I'm missing back here too for the passengers, whereas before those were USB-A. So talking about the comfort and the steering wheel and the seating, let's kind of move into driving a little bit. I'll start with parking. I have not noticed a difference. I've always had small cars. My car before the Model 3 was a Ford Focus, and so I've always kind of liked that little car feel, and it's easy to park and easy to maneuver and move around. To be totally honest, I have not noticed much of a difference driving the Model Y. In parking scenarios especially, it's really easy to park. I have no problem at all. Turning radius seems pretty good, although sometimes I do have the wheel turned all the way and it's not quite enough for the move I need to make, but that's only happened maybe a few times since I've gotten the car. Again, the seating position is nice. For driving, I don't notice too much of a difference, to be totally honest. When I'm driving down the road, the biggest difference I notice is it's way quieter. It is way quieter, especially at highway speeds. I really can't understate it. It is so much better. And I had always kind of complained about my Model 3 being a bit loud, especially going fast, highway speeds, on bumps and things like that. A big part of the better quietness in this car could be because of the double paned glass. Now it's only in the front, and I don't know how much this really does, but it is an improvement from my Model 3. The front driver and passenger windows are now double paned to help mostly with noise, but I think it also helps a little bit with temperature management as well. This car just feels more solid overall and well put together. And so you get a lot less noise everywhere, from outside, from inside, just the way things are moving. It just sounds a lot better. As far as the suspension, I haven't noticed much difference. I always thought it was great in my Model 3. I think it's great in the Model Y. I have the 19-inch tires on here, the smaller option. I see no reason to pay more money for a louder, less quiet, less efficient ride. I've said that a lot, but I always get the smallest tires I can because it's the most economical by far and the best, the most comfortable, the most quiet. They just don't look as cool. And I think these wheels are super ugly, especially with the caps on. The wheels are just so ugly, and they have the whole car blacked out, but if you take the caps off, the metal underneath is silver, and it's just very strange. So the 18 or the 19-inch wheels on the Model Y, I think, look very strange and very awkward. I do not like them at all, but I like the price, and I like the comfort, and I like the quietness of them. I had experienced both the 19 and 18-inch wheels on my Model 3, and by far I preferred the 18-inch wheels. I could tell the difference in everything, in noise, in comfort, and all of that. So I much prefer the smaller wheels if you can get them. Acceleration is noticeably slower. That's probably the biggest driving difference I've noticed coming from the Model 3. Now the car is still plenty fast, way faster than you need for most maneuvers, and it's really nimble, but when I first drove it off the lot and I stepped on it, because of course you get a Tesla, you have to step on it and see how it feels. It was like, oh, you know what I mean? That was my reaction. Whereas when you first, if you've never been in a Tesla and you step on it, you're like, whoa, this is insane. And coming from my Model 3, which is not a performance, it was an all-wheel drive just like this car is, it's just, yeah, stepping on it was not the same. It was, oh, okay, I guess we're going now, as opposed to the Model 3, which I still thought felt pretty peppy. Now, it's still, I do get a good feeling of acceleration at pretty much all speeds up to like 70-ish miles an hour. So even on the highway, if I'm going 50 and I step on it, it does throw you back a little bit. So the acceleration's still there. It still feels really good. But if you're coming from a Model 3 or acceleration is really important to you, it is a difference. The Model 3 definitely is faster and peppier. Now there is the acceleration boost option for $2,000 if you want to add that. Now as far as the range on the car goes, it's rated at 326 miles. I've charged up to 100% one time and I actually got 330 miles, which is 4 miles more than the advertised range. I was really surprised to see that because even on my Model 3 when it was new, I got it as an inventory car as well. It had 3,000 miles on it. But when it was new, it only charged to, I think the most I saw was 307 miles ever on my Model 3, and it went down from there. So my Model Y so far, that was my top charge. I've since switched to percent and I don't look at the miles too much. I just find percent is, you know, a little easier and nicer to look at. But yeah, I'll probably check that again in a few months and see if things are changing. Now this car, I'm pretty sure, I haven't verified for sure, but I think it has the 82 kilowatt hour battery. Tesla has been including bigger batteries in the Model Ys lately, and I think everybody's getting that now if you get the long range, which is all that's available. So that's really nice. So I'm not getting the rated range. I do a lot of highway driving. I do about 50 miles a day on the highway. And my total current stats right now are at 276 watt hours per mile, which means I'm getting less than the rated range. I think the Model Y is rated around 240-ish watt hours per mile. I'll correct myself if that's wrong. But so I'm using more energy per mile basically than Tesla says I will. So I will not get that 330 or 326 miles if I go from 100% to 0. It would be close, but I wouldn't quite get that. Now also in terms of efficiency, I have been really surprised, even though it's not at the rated efficiency of the car. Again, I do a lot of highway driving, which will lower that number. I go, you know, 78 or so miles per hour usually. The efficiency doing the same routes in, you know, similar conditions to my Model 3 has been as good as or better than my Model 3, which I am blown away by. The car is way bigger, it's heavier, bigger wheels. I mean, everything about it, you know, next to the exact same Model 3, the efficiency of this car should be worse, but it's equal to or better than my Model 3, especially in conditions that I think would really kill the range. Things like rain, which are really bad for the range. The rain range, the amount of energy I use in the rain in this car is way less than what I would use in my Model 3. Now, going into the winter, I think we're really gonna see a huge difference there because this car has a heat pump, whereas my Model 3 had a resistive heater. But I'm talking in the summer, on just like a normal sunny day, no wind, this car uses less energy than my Model 3 did. I don't know how that's possible. I don't know. I had efficient tires and everything on my Model 3, but this one it's blowing me away with the efficiency. I'm really happy with it. So I've been thinking about and planning this video for a while. So I have a clip from my wife from a few weeks back. So I don't remember exactly what she said. I think she covers some of the negatives from her perspective, but I'm going to show you her clip now, what she thinks about the car. So check that out. And then I will tell you what I think some of the negatives are. Okay, so let's see what my wife thinks. Stephanie, what's your take? What's your favorite stuff about the Model Y?
All right, the things that I love about the Model Y, the first thing for sure is the hatchback. There's so much space back there. I'm mostly concerned with how easy it is to load strollers in and out, and it is so much easier than my Equinox. And it's almost like a little lower down, I think. Yeah, I think so. But that works well because then I don't have to lift things up as high, but there's so much more space like up above. Everything just fits in there easily, so I really like that. It seems noticeably quieter to me than the Model 3. Yeah, the Model 3. Okay. Yeah, like the road noise is much less. But to counter that, the high-pitched whining noise, which seems like that has gone down quite a bit. So yeah. I don't know if it was
It's not gone, but yeah, that's really annoying.
Yeah, it really is not as bad as it was, but like in the beginning it was...
Yeah, I don't know what part of the video this is in. I'm going to talk about that as well, what we're talking about. I might have already. I don't know how I'm editing it. So.
But that, I mean, now I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm not going to buy a Model Y because of that whine. Like, it has definitely gone down. The seats are amazing. More
than the Model 3?
I don't really remember the Model 3. The Model 3, they were great too, but they're really comfortable, and I really do like the white. Like, it feels so bright in here. And what's funny is I've had on multiple occasions when I've gone through a drive-through, the person in the window either like staring at the car really, you know, carefully and like checking things out while they're handing me the food, or I even had one person say to me like, oh my gosh, your car is so cool, I haven't seen one of those up close before. Like referring to a Tesla, I think. Yeah. So that was funny. So it definitely like stands out to people. Like the white, I think, really makes a difference, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Besides the fact that it's a Tesla. I like that it's higher up. I mean, that was the whole reason that we wanted a Model Y plus.
Yeah, one of the big points, like Model Y or S, like this body style.
Yeah. Versus, like a Model 3, which is much lower down to the ground. It's just nice to be up high, and it's so much easier getting the kids in and out of the car seats. So.
Well, because we also looked at the Mach-E, which I drove, but you didn't.
Right, I've never seen it.
Yeah,
just out, like, the outside of it.
But you, like, didn't care or even want to see it, or?
No.
Okay.
Honestly, I mean.
Yeah, you just wanted this.
Yeah.
Cool.
Things that I don't like so much, I just noticed this the other day. The matte black trim gets super hot. Like, I don't know if other people have experienced that, but
I haven't even. I haven't noticed that, so.
Yeah, it was weird. Because I took the kids to the park, and when I was trying to get them back in, I like could not open the door. Like, it hurt. It burned so bad. And then I noticed my hand kept touching the trim right below the window, and it hurt so bad. But then when I touched just the car, it was not.
The paint?
Yeah, the paint was not nearly as hot. So I don't know if it's just like a thing with the matte black.
When you saw your first Model Y, you loved the matte
I
black.
love the look of it. I
Yeah.
love the look of it. Just it got so hot. So I mean, that's not like a deal breaker, but look out. The only other thing that I don't like, which is true for all Teslas, is the annoying beeping at me for no reason.
Like you're talking about when you're pulling into a parking spot, or when you're driving, or
When I'm driving. Like,
Oh,
I'll
okay.
be driving.
like the forward collision warnings.
And
I'll change
it'll
those
be
settings
like-
right now.
Okay, thank you. It'll be like, oh, we needed to auto steer for you because you're driving off the road or something, but I'm like trying to like avoid a dead animal, or like there's somebody in front of me that's turning left and they're like moving out of the way, and I know they're moving out of the way, so I'm not, slowing down as much as maybe the Model Y would like me to.
Right.
And it
Yeah.
like
Well,
yells
I turned
at
it
me.
down, so
Okay.
it might still yell at you, but not as often.
Yeah, like pretty much once every time I'm in the car, it yells at me, and I'm like, why? Like, what did I do? I guess I'm not as perfect as it is, but
Yeah.
still, like, I'm not endangering myself or anything.
All right. That's it.
That's it.
Well,
happy
there's
with
not
it.
much you like about
like-
it.
What?
All right. So those were the things that stuck out. That's what you like and dislike and all that.
Yes.
Cool. All right. If you have any more questions from non-Tesla obsessed nerd perspective, you're kind of turning into that though. You're more into them than you used to be,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
but not as much as me. So more normal person who isn't just like obsessed with Tesla, leave those comments down below and she can answer them, or through me or through your own account.
I'm not full self-driving beta crazy like you.
Yeah.
Like that,
No. I can't even use that when she's in the car.
he tries, and I'm like, this is embarrassing. It's good, but it's embarrassing. And then he'll do things like weird things, and then I'll be like, why did you do that? And he'll be like, oh, it was the beta, or it was autopilot. And I'm like, no,
all right.
it was not.
Model Y thoughts, thank you. So overall, I'm really loving the car. I'm super happy with the purchase, but not everything is perfect, and so I have had a couple of problems with the Model Y. The biggest, most annoying problem that I still have to this day is the rear motor has a loud whine to it above about 40-ish or 45 miles an hour, all the way up to about 70 miles an hour at a constant speed. Now, if you've never been in a Tesla or an electric car, when you accelerate or decelerate, you get a little bit of a whine. It almost sounds like an airplane if you've been on an airplane when it's taking off. And that's totally normal, and it's not annoying at all, and it really only happens during hard acceleration or a lot of regen braking. Well, this Model Y, and I've been in other Model Ys that do not have this Model Y, at a constant speed, it just has this loud, and I'll play it for you, this loud, annoying whine. And I hate it. And I hated it when I first picked up my car. I commented on it in making a video, like immediately. Like, what is this? This is a weird sound. I was hoping it would break in or something. Now, to be fair, it has faded a bit. It's not as annoying as when I first got the car. And of course, maybe I got used to it or something. But it is not annoying today as it was when I first picked up the car, but it's still there. and I really hate it. I did take it in to get inspected by service, and they said it's within spec, which is, you know, kind of a joke in the Tesla community. Tesla says that about a lot of things that you would think are not normal. So yeah, that's my biggest complaint by far. That noise is so annoying when you can hear it. If you're on the highway, you don't hear it at all because you're going over the speed that it happens. If the radio is loud enough, you won't notice it either. But it's there enough that I want to mention it because it's really annoying. And Tesla did charge me for that check, by the way, when I told them. I had the guy drive with me, and I said, that sounds weird, doesn't it? And his response was something like, oh, I have to have someone else listen to it. I'll let you know. And they said it was within spec. I don't know. They took the back seat off and looked. I thought it was, I think it's too loud. But then the other negative for me is one of my repeater cameras died on me. So the Tesla has 8 cameras on the outside surrounding the car, and 2 of those are on the front fenders facing backwards, and those are called the repeaters. So on the passenger side repeater, I pulled up my Sentry mode and the camera just died on me. It went black. And when that happened, I could not use autopilot. I couldn't use full self-driving beta. I couldn't even use cruise control at all. It just said all of that was unavailable. So simple enough, I thought Tesla mobile service could come pop those things out. They come right out and replace it for me pretty quick. It shouldn't be a big deal. Well, I tried to schedule service, and the service was over a month out. I think it was a month and a half away at a local service center. And I messaged them and said, could mobile service do this? And they said, oh, we'll let you know. And then they never responded. And then I asked if they could reschedule me at the Toledo Service Center, which is in another state. And they did, and it was a lot closer of an appointment. But I ended up just buying the camera myself. I have a video about that. I'll link above if you want to see that. And I replaced it myself. Like I said, it was super easy. It took even me. Now, I didn't do it technically correctly, but it took even me like 10 or 15 minutes to replace it. So the fact that mobile service didn't do it was really annoying. But I wanted to point out that I did have a camera failure on the car. I never had that on my Model 3. None of the cameras ever had a problem. But that's the other negative I had that was really annoying. I didn't have autopilot for a few weeks. And, you know, as fun as Teslas are to drive, in my opinion, autopilot and full self-driving is way more fun. So that was terrible. Honestly, I took my wife's car a lot to just not put miles on the Model Y when I couldn't enjoy autopilot. My Model 3 did have the adjustable lumbar in the passenger seat, but like Elon said, like it never got used. So I don't know, I don't really care. The times my wife has been in here and the times I've sat in the passenger seat, I haven't thought about it at all. And even in the Model 3, when my wife would be here or if she was driving and I was in the passenger seat, neither one of us ever used it. So, you know, it is, you know, unfortunate to get less in the car, but it's not something that's really affected us. So the last thing I want to cover is, why did I trade my Model 3? Was there something wrong with it? Did I hate it? Now, another thing I should talk about is the autopilot experience, because this car does not have a radar in the front of it, and that's something very new Tesla has started doing. Now, I am on Tesla's full self-driving beta, so my autopilot experience is not the same as everyone's, but for the first maybe month or a few weeks or something that I had this car, I was on the public build, and so I did experience the public version of Tesla Vision, which is Tesla's kind of new moniker for their autopilot system that doesn't use radar and only uses the cameras. I will say I really enjoyed it. I thought it worked very well for me. I did have more kind of phantom braking, but I hesitate to say that because it wasn't anything too scary. I would be going, you know, maybe 75 on the highway, and the car would slow down maybe 2 or 3 miles an hour, and that was about it. So while that happened more frequently, I didn't really experience it ever on my Model 3. It was very gentle, and it's not something that, you know, would have been scary or dangerous at all. So that was the only negative of Tesla Vision. The positives were huge though, because slowing was way better for stopped traffic, especially coming around a bend or something. Tesla Vision, in my opinion, did a way better job of slowing. It was way smoother. Now, sometimes that slowing would happen a little later than it would on the radar, but again, it was way smoother. It felt way more natural and less jerky. So that was very nice. Overall, my no radar experience has been great. So overall, loving the Model Y. Definitely the right decision for me and my family. If you're debating between the Model 3 and the Model Y, my advice is, honestly, I would get the Model Y because it offers more room, more comfort, and the price is not all that different. Now, if you're going for a standard range Model 3, of course, the price difference is huge, and so it's not as comparable. But if you're looking at an all-wheel drive Model 3 versus an all-wheel drive Model Y, I don't know. It's just you're getting a lot smaller car for a very similar price. Now, if you're looking for something a little more sporty, a little faster, sleeker, smaller, then of course, it's no choice, the Model 3. But if you're debating between these two, if you're kind of making a pros and cons list, I would find it hard to pick the Model 3 over the Model Y when the prices are just so darn similar. I'm sure there's a lot that I didn't cover. If you have any more questions and you want to ask those in the comments down below, go ahead. I will definitely be down there answering you. Yeah, loving the Model Y. I do, man, looking at the camera, I do like the white interior, but yeah, still not, I don't know, $1,000, that's a lot of money to make your seats a different color. And you get the same seats, but whatever. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this one. I look forward to talking to you down in the comments, and you will see me in the next video.